So what we're going to do today is working on a minor burner with one single oxycon. We're going to work a bit more burrow. So rather than doing beads, pendants, marbles, which is pretty much run of the mill, I've decided we're going to make some novelty glassware. So this really harks back to when I was 15, 16 and school had asked me to leave and go find a job. And so we're talking centuries ago, to be honest. Like that. So I'm going to show you how to make a little hologlass pig in the form of a piggy bank. It's what we used to call a lucky pig. We would make between 1, 2 to 5,000 lucky pigs every week in the factory where I worked. So starting with tubing. So this is 22mm light wall. Just give it a little score. Break it. There we go. And it's very simple tools. All we're going to be working with today is the minor burner, a little piece of graphite or carbon flat, a pair of tweezers, and some 20mm tubing, and some 5mm rod, burrow rod. So just give yourself a nice, broadly bushy flame, and we're going to heat the glass up. This is going to take a couple of minutes to do, but we're going to work the end of the tubing. You don't need to seal it, just get it nice and red hot. And we're going to pull a point. Some people call these points, some people call them spears. But basically we're going to close the end of the tube down. The idea of pulling the point is that you create a handle. And generally you want to make this handle as thin as possible, because this is a piece of glass that's going to get thrown away at the end of the project. So you don't want to make it too thick, you don't want to make it too expensive because it's wastage. So just getting the end of the tube nice and warm. Just use a piece of 7mm rod, or even the 5mm rod, and just collect the end of the tube up so it wraps around the rod, and then moving a little bit further back on the tube, again just start to heat the tube, and you're only heating 10 to 15mm of the glass, but get it nice and evenly temperature all the way around. If you heat it unevenly, then your point's going to be off centre and break very easily. So as you get it nice and warm all the way around, get it to an orange glow, and then out of the flame, and just while you're still turning with both hands, start to stretch the glass. And it's important that you keep this nice and hollow and generally as straight as you can. So go to this end, pull the glass off with a little pip, get rid of this piece, and then with the scoring knife just knock the end off so you've got an open end now. Just take a couple of seconds to blow on the point, because it's still going to be relatively hot, and you want it to cool down. And if it's not straight, if it's off at angles, just pop it back in the flame again and just try and straighten it up. The straighter you can get the point, easier it is to work with, more evenly you're going to get the glass heated up, and a better product, you're going to get a better finished product. So take yourself a 5p, obviously this is because we're in the UK, or you can use cents or dimes. Slide it down the open end of the tube, turning this round, holding the point, and going about, say, 2 inches along the tube. Now we start to heat the tube again, and we're going to repeat the same process. If you can heat up enough glass, when you pull the point, not only can you pull the point at this end, which seals the coin inside the tube, but you'll also be able to pull an equal length point for the next one. So you can have a little, almost like a little production line set up. So again, just heating the glass nice and evenly, take a couple of minutes. Don't get the glass absolutely molten hot, because it'll start falling in on itself. You're aiming to get it just that orange hot, so you've got a bit of control over it, the glass isn't falling away from you. But as it starts to thin out, again, out of the flame, and just gently pull the point, turning all the time as you do, and you should end up with a relatively straight point. Again, back in the flame, clip it off. Now this end you want to have sealed at this point, and then pop this one down, so that's going to be the next pig, and again just give it a couple of seconds to let it cool down, or blow on the point. There we go. Very thin glass, so it cools pretty quickly. Now going back to the end, that's the hollow end, so this is the point where you've taken the end of the point off. So the air, when you start to heat it, can expand and can escape. If you don't have a hollow end, what will happen is the glass will just blow out. So turn the flame down a little bit, either by increasing the oxygen or decreasing the propane, and start to melt now on the shoulder of the tubing. So where it starts to thin down, where it rounds over, it starts to go into the point. Again, even heat all the way around. Remember, this is the point that's open-ended, so this is where the air is going to breathe through the tube all the time, so the air escapes, stops the glass blowing out or blowing in like a vacuum, sucking in. And we're just starting to melt the glass and let the weight of the point pull down. So you're taking it down to the top of the tube. And again, outside the flame, just start to stretch the glass and put a little twist in. And this is going to be the tail of the pig. I could tell you some tales about the pig, but this is the tail of the pig. And then taking a little bit of 5mm rod, sorry. We need to add a couple of legs. Now the first factory that I worked in as a 15-year-old, when we made these, you had 8 blowers on one side of the factory, which were bum people, and 8 blowers on the other side of the factory that was face people. So all you ever learnt to do was the curly tail and the back legs of a pig, and you didn't learn anything else. That was your whole job. So melting the tube as well as the rod so that they fuse together, pull off the little leg and just flatten it down so you form like a little trotter. And again, heat up the 5mm, and remember to heat the tubing. So you want the glass to flow into each other. You don't want these joints where it's quite lumpy and bumpy, because that's just going to break it. So again, going back to the tube, heating the tube, you've got the 5mm nice and hot, heat the tube, keep it hot, push it in, and then start to pull it out again. Heat the tip, let it bead up, and again back onto the carbon flat, or you can use your marver and your torch, and that gives you 2 legs and a curly tail. Now, it's not a perfect way to anneal, but just to keep these going while you're working, we're flame annealing. So turn the propane up, turn the oxygen up a little bit to get a bushier flame, and just run the flame around the legs, around the tail, around the tubing. You're not melting it, you're just getting it nice and evenly warm, and this is what we used to call flame annealing. It's not the same as annealing. It's a bit of a, well, it isn't annealing in any way, shape or form, but it will give you long enough to save this while you go to the front of the pig. So again, turn it down, get a nice cutting flame. Now you start to melt the second shoulder, where it goes into the point again, nice and even. And this is going to be the snout, and then you've got to put 2 legs and 2 eyes and 2 ears on. And just start to pull the glass down, the point down, and as it's melting it will naturally pull down, and then it'll thin out as well. Just keeping track that the snout is in line with the 2 feet, and then pull it up, and then with the back of your tweezers, just give it a little snout there, we go, back on the 5mm again. Flame was a little bit too much propane there in the flame. Let's pop the eyes on. So again, even with a small piece of burrow for the eyes, you want to make sure it's melted in properly. So heat the face of the pig, little dot of burrow. You could do this obviously with coloured burrow as well if you wanted. So if you wanted to have red eyes or black eyes, no reason why you couldn't do that. And then just keeping everything warm, we're now going to start heating up to put the second leg on. So you always find it easier to put the legs on straight, look down the pig, look at it face on, heating the tube, getting the tube nice and warm, push the burrow rod in, start to pull it out, Again, a little trotter there, pop it down on the paddle, just to get it nice and flat. Because you're doing 4 legs, you want to make sure they're all square, and so your pig hasn't got a wobble. So just heating up the 5mm rod again. There we go. So get the side, the wall of the fast pig nice and warm. Push it in. Easy back out again. I'll do this time on the marver. There we go. And then for the ears, ever so simple. Just like you've done with the legs, heat up a blob of the 5mm, heat up the place where you want to put the burrow on for the ear, push it on, leave a little lump, and then take your tweezers and just pinch, heat up again, and just pull the ear over. And then just heating the tip again, on goes the final bit with the tweezers, pinch it, pull it over, and just again run the flame, turn the propane up a little bit, just run the flame around the legs, around the snout, around the ears, and again this just gives you a bit more protection, stop it cracking. It's light wall tubing, so there's not going to be a huge problem with cracking anyway. And if you want to take it off straight away, just hold it with a pair of tweezers, hold the ear, and then take the tail off from the point, turn that round. And there's your lucky pig. Got a 5p seal inside it, so it resembles the old piggy bank. We used to call it lucky pig because every time somebody bought one, you'd say, "Oh, that was lucky."